investigation groups all over the world are looking for answers. We often have the chance to get even the tiniest peek at who or what is on the other side. CPR, or Cooperative for Paranormal Research, is one of these groups. We are dedicated to finding the answers, dedicated to finding evidence of the paranormal, and dedicated to proving that some places are truly haunted.
Science has learned that all people possess mental powers which pass the boundaries of the natural.
Ghosts, Bigfoot, extraterrestrials,
Terrahub Radio,
psychics, parapsychology, Loch Ness Monster,
Terrahub Radio,
paranormal news, giveaways, open chat,
Terrahub Radio,
classic rock, and paranormal talk. Thursdays, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific, at parahub.org, bounceradio.net, and beastradio.com.
Hello? Hello? Who's that? Whoa! What the? Ghost on the stairs. It's just sitting there. It sure scared the hell out of me. And now I do believe that ghosts are a certainty. I do believe in spooks.
I'd like to share a recent experience where I strongly believe that I encountered a shadow person.
When I looked, it was January 5th, 2046.
I just, I want to find an explanation for it. I want to rule it out as, something that was logical.
There are many things we have yet to learn about and understand. Join us here at Supernatural Existence and learn about the many mysteries of the universe. Feel free to subscribe via any of your favorite podcast directories, including iTunes, or check us out on the Supernatural Existence website at www.globi.com. The mysteries are waiting to be understood.
I really want to see something supernatural with my own eyes, not hear it or think I heard it or anything like that, actually see it with my own eyes, capture it on camera, hear something weird or something like that.
Hey, we're back to Ghostly Talk, sponsored by Joey's Ectoplasm Cleaners. You bought it, we scarf it.
Thank you, Mr. Brocky. Leading us in there. I'd like having Odorous Shurungus bump you in. What do we got going on here, Doug?
Well, we have Jason Offutt, who's an author, a college journalism instructor, and syndicated humor and paranormal columnist, and not a snappy dresser at all. His books include Darkness Walks, The Shadow People Among Us, and Haunted Missouri, a ghostly guide to the Show Me State's most spirited spots. I wonder if you could say that like 10 times fast. And a collection of humor essays entitled On Being Dad. Jason lives in Maryville, Missouri with his family, goes on the occasional ghost hunt, and likes beer a lot. Mm-hmm. What am I supposed to be looking at?
I'm just pointing that out.
Oh, and is sure that those who won't at least consider humans evolved from monkeys simply don't have children. I would attract everyone.
I'm going to argue that one.
To www.jasonoffutt.com, JASONOFFUTT.com, and of course that's linked up at ghostlytalk.com. And Ghostly Talk wants to welcome Jason Offutt to the show.
Hey, this is great. We have.
We have
back on.
Jason, you know what?
Nice to be on. Thanks.
Yes, back on.
Okay, Jason, we lost you there for a second, so unfortunately we didn't hear what you said. Sorry.
That's fine. I just was thanking you for having me back on the show.
Oh, okay.
It's good to have
you back good to have you back on. We had a great time last time, and we want to get into this. New book out. What's the name of the new book again?
Darkness Walks, the Shadow People Among Us.
Okay. Now, Shadow People... Go ahead, Doug. You're done.
Well, I've seen one once.
I better step away.
I'm like all on top of this because I've seen one once, and I still don't know what it was or what it wanted. I know that it was scared of us, but I just wonder what got you into Shadow People. Did you see one? Have you had encounters with people who've seen them? How did this become something you wanted to write about?
Well, all of the above. It really started out with my own personal experience. I was around 9 years old. This was back in the 70s, before Shadow People was a buzzword or a buzz term. And I would see we lived out in the middle of nowhere, so we had our windows open at all times because nobody you'd have to go a hell of a long way to be a peeping Tom in that neighborhood. So at night, when the moon was out, I could see all sorts of detail in my room. The dresser, the bookshelf, my desk, my Farrah Fawcett poster. I could see all this stuff. And I could see out of one corner of my room on not a nightly basis, but a couple of times a week for almost a year, these blacker than night, human-shaped figures that seemed to be two-dimensional and hugely tall. I mean, I was 9, so that could have been 6 foot, but to me it looked 7, 8 feet tall, head brushing the ceiling, walking by my bed. Some nights there would be 1, some nights there would be 2, some nights there would be 9, just a row of them walking within a foot of me and out the door and into the hallway. Mm-hmm. And I'd scream for my parents. My dad had come extremely upset because I woke him up. He'd turn the lights on, and of course nothing would be there. And from that point on, I was absolutely determined. I wanted to find out what the heck these things were. Took me a while. I'm not 9 years old anymore, but I did quite a bit of research, and well, it's the book.
Well, what did did it surprise you when you started running into people who had similar stories, or at least encounters with Shadow People, or was that like, oh yeah, that makes sense?
Well, it's a little bit of both. I was glad that there were more people who experienced these things. But I wasn't, I wasn't surprised on one hand because I knew what I saw. I knew I saw these things, and I knew if I saw them, other people saw them. It's just the great volume of people who've seen these took me back a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I write a paranormal blog from the shadows.
Yes.
Comes out every week, and I wrote a shadow person encounter, and I was flooded with people's comments on their firsthand experiences of, oh, you saw this? Oh, I saw this too. And they didn't just come from, people from the United States. It's a worldwide phenomenon. I got emails from people from England and Australia and South Africa. I mean, it's everywhere and all places in between. So that kind of surprised me a little bit, but it also made me feel a little bit more comfortable because if all of these people are seeing this entity, it's not just some weird cultural, psychological thing.
We get a lot of questions on shadow people. We do here. I can tell you that firsthand, Jason. There's people that talk about it on the website. There's people that email us about it all the time. It seems like the subject of shadow people, it's just one of those things. I've never experienced one myself. Doug, I know you have.
Mm-hmm. Once. Yeah.
But just to kind of back up what you're saying, we get questions on it all the time. Also, it's just one of those things where people seem to be seeing these things all the time,
and we don't really know what to say. I mean, how far, like, in your research, so this is an interesting thing because obviously, you had mentioned, Jason, that it was, you saw them, back in the 70s before it became its code word or whatever, or like a searchable item on
saw
Google.
Some black figure. We don't know what it is.
Yeah. Were there encounters like this reported or in people's journals or described in diaries or something? Decades or eons ago. I mean, there's people who say, "Oh, UFOs have been around. They've been visiting. Look at this Egyptian hieroglyph or whatever." What about shadow people? Have they been around since ancient Babylonia?
Yes, absolutely. The earliest case that I have, that a person that I personally corresponded with, as a kid, he saw them in 1949. There were reports of not reports, but shadow people were written about in British literature of the late 1800s. So if these things were written about in literature, they were, probably experienced. The reason I say yes, it goes back to Babylonia, or back a long way, is because I interviewed a number of people from a number of different religions, not just people who practice, but experts in those religions, from Islam to Buddhism to Hinduism, and of course Christianity and Native American shamanism, and all of these religions have this figure as part of their belief system. They're called different things. In Christianity, they're demons.
Well, everything's a demon in Christianity. Sorry, had to throw that
all right, okay, no, in Christianity, they're clowns.
Okay, that's better. Yay. That's better.
Okay, yeah, that's what they are. And in Islam, they're a type of jinn, which is what we, in the Western world have turned into genies.
Right.
But they're a type of jinn that's gone bad.
Mm-hmm.
In Native American cultures, they are medicine people who have gone bad and gotten greedy and used their powers for bad things, and now have been transformed into something that's not quite human. That's what these shadowy type figures are. So if they're widespread in different types of religions from different continents and different cultures, they've been around for a heck of a long time.
There's something in that description that is a common thread. And the common thread is, I think, medicine men gone bad. Genies or jinns gone bad.
Well,
demons,
I know what you're saying here.
Clowns. They're all evil, right?
Clowns. Well, clowns can creep people out too.
Oh yeah.
I'm freaked out by clowns. So you find me somebody who's not scared of a clown, they've got a mental disorder.
Yeah, I believe that. But what I mean, so for some reason they're not considered very friendly, right?
Right.
Why? What do they do?
Oh, yeah, it's their behavior. That's why they're not considered very friendly.
Ah.
There are a number of different types of shadow people I talk about in the book. The ones that I encountered, I refer to as benign shadows, simply from the fact that they didn't pay any attention to me. It's like I wasn't even there. They didn't notice me. They just were going from point A to point B, and that path happened to be through my room. But a lot of other accounts are not very nice. There are a number of accounts of shadow people who don't just scare people. I mean, they scared me. If you see, 7-foot-tall, featureless, blacker than night, human-shaped shadow walking by your bed, yeah, you're going to wet the bed once in a while.
Yeah. Right.
But it's not that kind of fear. It is a fear that radiates, a terror that radiates from these creatures. Because the people have told me that encounter these, they feel like it's feeding off of them. It's feeding off of the terror that they're creating within the humans who see them.
Well, let me go ahead, Jason.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna mention, and then it gets worse from there. Different types of shadow people actually physically have attacked humans. There are a number of when you say shadow people, people think of one thing, but the one thing is there are two characteristics. One, they're blacker than night, and they don't have any. They're so black they don't have any features.
Yeah.
Right, and the second one is that they have something a little bit off. They're not an exact replication of a human. Their arms might be too long, their legs might be too long, their head might be oddly shaped, their gait might be a little bit awkward.
Yeah.
So those are the two main things that are common with all of them. But there are so many different. There are a number of different varieties, and a lot of them behave differently.
Jason, can I ask you this question? As far
No.
as your
sorry, of
course,
you
asking the question. No, with your research, and it's ironic we're talking about this in such depth because last weekend I was asked about shadow people when we were giving a discussion in Ohio, and one of the stories I always convey when it comes to shadow people. Now, I just got done saying a few minutes ago that I've never ever seen a shadow person in my life. But there was a couple of occurrences that happened to me when I was younger that I found peculiar, and I'll relay these to you, and maybe you've talked to someone who's experienced the same thing. There was a couple of situations that I was in when I was maybe 10 to 12 years old, where I was walking down the street, and it was either daytime or nighttime, or I was just at home somewhere, and I would feel something. I mean, I rarely ever get these intuitive feelings like I feel something in the room, and I'm as psychic as this microphone is in front of me. I'm not extrasensory in any way.
I feel something great is about to happen to you.
Yeah, thanks, Doug.
Yeah.
Really, what is it?
I feel hunger. I don't feel a lot of things.
Yeah, well, there you go. So basically, there was a few situations that I remember where I was sitting there watching TV maybe or something like that, and I just felt something stare. I felt eyes on me, right? That really perplexed me. And when I turned the direction I thought whatever it was in, I would turn my head, and I swear to God, I saw something duck behind a corner. Right, and it was black. It was a black.
But you have seen shadow people.
I don't know or not because, and I'll explain why. There was another situation I remember vividly when I was coming home one night, and it was just starting to get dark, and I was walking through my neighborhood, and I felt something watching me again, and I turned around, and I saw something dart behind a car. I thought it was black. It was a black shape. Now, what I have always attributed it to, Jason, is that I was a young kid and I watched a lot of horror films, okay? And I had the heebie-jeebies, right? But I'm wondering if you ever talked to anybody that had experiences maybe similar to that, where they felt something staring at them, and when they kind of did a quick turn, they maybe thought they saw something jump behind a wall or around a corner or something like that.
Well, that's actually the most common.
Oh.
People talk about that all the time. I felt something. I felt somebody watching me, and I could see something black out of the corner of my eye. When I turned around, it was gone.
Okay.
So that sort of thing. Yeah. That's and yeah. I mean, is that attributable to shadow people? Yes, because they tend to try and certain types tend to try and disappear whenever people notice them. That really seems to shock certain types of shadow people if people actually notice that they're there.
But,
so it very well could be that.
But in that situation, I mean, this may be digging too deep, but if it is, I apologize. I'm just some kid walking home. I'm not bothering anybody. I'm minding my own business. What What do they need? What is it? Go ahead.
It's the same thing with Jason in his room at night. They're
yeah.
What are they doing?
What business do they have there? What are they doing? Are they getting DNA samples? Are they trying to find a baseball card? What are they trying to do? What's going on?
At least aliens, we know. Okay, well they're coming down and they're taking
we've been
cattle and they're doing experiments. Like you can picture that. That makes sense.
Well, there's a purpose to it. There's something going on there. There's a story to it. Right?
Yeah, but with these shadow people sightings, a lot of them are just even mine. It's like. Yeah, he was there. He didn't want to be seen, and he ran away. And with Scott's, and then with yours, where they were just going about their business. It's like they just completely ignore us. What's the point?
Well, the ignoring ones. I'm really glad I saw those. The ones that seem to be watching us and don't want to be seen.
Yeah.
The thought of that scares the hell out of me.
Well, yeah, same here.
Right, exactly. That there's some entity out there, and with the reports that I've gotten of people, again, feeling like the shadow people are feeding off of them.
Okay. Right.
They may have been hunting you. Okay, you might have been easy prey and just happened to get away. Other people feel that these things are just observing.
Mm-hmm.
Whether they be some form of human from another plane of existence. That's been an example, but the physicist I interviewed about that got a really big chuckle. I mean, is it that? Is it some people have said that they're certain it's astral projecting themselves, and that's the image we can see. Are they spying on us? I mean, it's just people spying on us.
Jason, that's a total trip to think about, though, because if they were beings, people like us that are astral projecting, like they're in bed or they're doing an astral projection session, and then all they're doing is kind of cruising around. And I guess if you were a regular person just walking around, you see some little 10-year-old fat kid walking down the street coming home, right? You're going to go, well, it's a 10-year-old fat kid. Who cares? He's just a little kid, right? But if you were astral projecting, though, and you're like, cruising around now, and you're like, you're just, now you're astral projecting.
So everything becomes
everything's interesting.
Yeah.
So that might make sense because I would probably do the same. I'd be observing, like, going, hey, does this kid see me? What's going on here? What's happening? So that's an interesting idea, Jason.
Well, and it's I'm not just going to throw it out as an idea. There's a woman that I have in the book who had a shadow person who kept coming into her room, and she could hear it in her head. And she was asking it questions because this thing was freaking her out, understandably so. And it kept telling her little tidbits about, I've been watching you. I've been observing you for some time. And she started asking her questions about, well, who are you? What are you? And the thing told her that it was a person, and he was astral projecting, and he's been watching her. They've met in person once by accident, and he was fascinated with her, and she will one day be his. That.
Ooh.
So that guy's no better in real life than he would be as.
Yes, he's
somebody that's creep either way.
Definitely not. I mean, you can stalk people on Facebook pretty effectively, but astral projection, that's the key.
That's really going.
Well, that's really
over. That's really putting.
Well, there's these creeps out there. That,
but how do you prosecute?
Yeah, you try. That's not going to stick. I don't think that's going to stick at all.
Stick. Yeah.
Well, I guess that's the new frontier of stalking, I guess. I mean, I guess you could say that.
Psychic stalking.
All joking aside, I mean, stalkers go. You've heard of some of these wild things of these guys out there. Like they learn all their habits. They learn where they go. They learn everything they do. They know what time they go to bed, and that takes work.
Well, the thing is, if you take these watchers, right? These watchers or these benign ones doing whatever they're doing, you take this thing and you go, okay, well, what in our experience, our non-shadow people world experience, is similar to that? And really, there is one thing, and that's essentially like intelligence, right? CIA kind of stuff, or corporate espionage, or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it's a lot of watching, a lot of not wanting to be seen, a lot of just gathering data and observing this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
And usually, intelligence gathering and corporate espionage and things like that is usually not for a good reason. But I'm wondering, are they, like, normally we cannot see them, right? Mm-hmm. Because, like, I haven't bumped into one at the 7-Eleven, but normally you can't.
Well,
see
according to the Cherokee gentleman I interviewed, you may have.
Oh, that could be, but the for some reason either they've gotten sloppy at it, right, and they've accidentally been seen quite a lot lately.
Yeah.
Or maybe power of suggestion is filling in some of the, the actual sightings with some, suggested sightings.
Well, that's what I'm saying about my experience. That's why I said I've never seen a shadow person. Now Jason, according to, we're kind of comparing notes here. Maybe I actually have seen one on several occasions.
Right, that didn't want to be seen. You said ducked behind a thing or ducked behind a car, and so if these things are observers and this class of shadow person is observing us, I can't think of a good reason to do it. I mean, unless they're just scientific explorers like the Enterprise or whatever. But I just can't think of a good reason for otherworldly or other dimensionally or other realm beings to be watching us so much.
Here's my question for Jason.
And not be good at it.
I want to hear what you have to say on this also, Jason, okay? Why do we watch ghosts? Why do we go to places to watch ghosts? What's our reason for that? I mean, we go out there and do this stuff, but what is our reason for doing that? Do we have a real big Jason, you go ahead. What do you think?
I think absolutely it's a completely selfish reason why we go out and walk.
Uh-oh. Jason?
Yes?
You broke up again. Sorry about that.
Oh, yeah. Well, I told you the thunderstorms.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, the reason we go out to haunted spots to try and find ghosts, I don't think it's the adrenaline rush and the fear and trying to explore the unknown. Those are really cool. But I think it's selfish in the fact that, we want to know if there's life after death, and if we see a ghost, that pretty much nails it.
Uh-huh. Well, my thought process.
Well, that's my opinion, of course.
Yeah, no, and that's fine. I think it's a very good opinion. But I mean, it's kind of your question, Doug, was why? Well, why do we do that thing? I mean, they may be looking at us the same way.
And we are looking at us out of curiosity, out of a quest for knowing if our side of the fence is greener. I mean, I don't.
Well, yeah. Look at this. Okay, a number of explanations that people have given me. And I hate to call them the more far-out explanations because we're talking about shadow people.
Yeah.
Okay? All right. But some of the explanations, interdimensional travelers, time travelers, extraterrestrials, all three of those, why wouldn't they want to know more about us? Maybe they're all scientists, in their own realms or whatnot, trying to find out more about this new spot they found.
This could be what they do. They go out there, and one of their rules is do not engage if possible. Try to not be, look.
Doug mentioned Star Trek, Prime Directive.
Yeah. Well, they may not be. It's obvious if the experiences I've had are we're shadow people. It's obvious they don't have lightning fast reflexes, right?
True.
My eyes are quicker than they are, right? Or even my head turning's quicker than they are. So they may not be physically speaking, they may not be any better than we are, but they do have an edge where they are a bit more elusive, it seems like. But if you're quick enough, you might catch them. Who knows? I think we should.
We need to do the break thing.
Let's take a break. Because we got a lot more to go through.
I want to talk about the more physical ones in the next half hour, like some of the more physical things, more than just the watchers. Because I think the watchers are very, very common. I mean, I don't know, common's not the right word.
Yeah, there's nothing common with this conversation.
But I think that out of the reports, I think the watchers or the going about their own business kind of thing is fairly common, and the actual encounters, the physical attacks or things like that are a little less, so I'd like to talk about that in the next half hour, along with other stuff. The book is Darkness Walks, The Shadow People Among Us, and, of course, the website, jasonoffutt.com, JASONOFFUTT.com. We're going to come back after some... Is this Bon Event? Or
this is Paranormal News.
Yeah. Paranormal News, after the Paranormal News, and talk about... I want to talk about the more physical ones, the attacks, what about encounters with these things that aren't just the benign... I'm watching you kind of stuff.
Definitely. Let's do that. This is Ghostly Talk. I'm Scott L.
And I'm Doug.
We'll be right back after this.
Ghostly Talk!
The Darker Side of the Moon is an alternative talk variety show.
DarkerSideRadio.com.
Since 2006, host Becky Ray and Laura Moon speak with independent filmmakers, authors, musicians, artists, and many, many more.
DarkerSideRadio.com.
Sometimes serious, mostly fun, the show has a little for everyone.
DarkerSideRadio.com.
Was it odd, freaky, and you didn't hear it on the 5 o'clock news? Then we'll probably cover it here.
DarkerSideRadio.com.
Darker Side currently airs live Monday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, which is 7 p.m. Central and 5 p.m. Pacific.
DarkerSideRadio.com.
If you happen to miss it, you can listen to show archives at any time online at DarkerSideRadio.com, or you may subscribe to the show on iTunes.
DarkerSideRadio.com.
What are we made of? Why do I get sick? How can I live a more balanced and whole life? These are just a few of the questions explored each week by naturopath, medical intuitive, and clairvoyant Dr. Rita Louise on Just Energy Radio. Explore your possibilities every Friday evening from 7 to 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Join us at JustEnergyRadio.com.
Welcome to Paranormal Headline News, produced by Genesis Creations Entertainment. I'm your host, Bonnie Vent. This is Bonnie Vent. Do you need a celebrity to promote your product or service? Planning a big event and want that little extra star power? Want to have lunch or dinner with the cast of Leave It to Beaver? Or dinner and a concert with Peter Noon from Herman's Hermits? Then go to Genesis Creations Entertainment at www.genesiscreations.biz and book a celebrity today. Andrew Trapani, who's behind the Haunting in Connecticut movie, is producing a new movie starring the Winchester Mystery House. Sarah Winchester, the heir to the Winchester rifle fortune, obsessively designed her home, keeping construction going 24 hours a day for 32 years until her death in 1922. Legend says that she kept building the home because she believed she was pursued by the ghosts who were killed by the Winchester rifles. She wanted to outrun the spirits. Trapani told the Mercury News that he is currently working on a plot which combines a modern story about the house with flashes back into the past to try and probe why Winchester did what she did. The movie will be the first feature film granted permission to shoot on location at the home, and filming is slated to begin by the end of the year. Ronald Reagan's widow has told how she talks to the ex-president's spirit and even sees him at night. Nancy Reagan, 87, says she still desperately misses her husband, who died 5 years ago at the age of 93 after a long battle with Alzheimer's disease. It sounds strange, but I see Ronnie, she said. At night, if I wake up, I think Ronnie's there and I start to talk to him. The fact is, I do think he's there and I see him. She told Vanity Fair magazine that she longs to be reunited with her husband of 52 years in the afterlife. In her 1989 memoirs, she admitted that astrology became her crutch after the president was shot during an assassination attempt 8 years earlier, and told of how she consulted the stars and planets to help plan his schedule and security arrangements. Somehow, I think her beloved Ronnie will be there to greet her when her time comes. For more information on these stories, please go to www.sdparanormal.com and the Paranormal News feed page. Don't forget, sign up for a free subscription to Paranormal News. Thanks for joining us today on Paranormal News. If you'd like to sponsor or advertise on Paranormal News, please send us an email at paraxnews@aol.com. or join us at paranormalnews.mypodcast.com. Until next time, I'm your host, Bonnie Vance.
Wondering where you can get the latest news and reviews from the world of paranormal entertainment? Frank and Laura take a look at the latest happenings and break down what's new on TV and at the movies each week on Spooktacular, your paranormal entertainment roundup. Check them out by searching for Spooktacular in iTunes or head on over to Spooktacular.com. Oh yeah, be sure to bring along a friend because no one should listen alone.
You're listening to Ghostly Talk with your hosts, Doug, Scott L., and Bonnie.
Shadow people.
That was it? That's the whole intro. Yeah.
I was just trying to get some dramatic stuff going.
Oh, that was dramatic, yes. How about this?
All right.
The book is Darkness Walks, The Shadow People Among Us. And we're talking with Jason Offutt about shadow people and this revolution of...
I don't think we've talked about shadow people. I mean, Heidi Hollis has done a lot of work on that. We've talked about them too, but we're really kind of digging into the root of this too. Like, what the heck are these things? What do they do? And, what's the deal with these things?
And
it's
fortunately, folks like Jason really dug into it.
Yeah,
whole books about it. So
yeah, thank goodness.
So I think everyone should go to jasonoffutt.com and check out this book because there's going to be a lot more to them than we can even. We're just scratching the surface here.
Yeah, we are.
And getting some really good stories, right?
Mm-hmm.
We talked about the one lady in the past half hour who. Who had like mind communication with one.
Yeah, which is a trick.
Yeah, and because I've heard mostly the kind of we just kind of saw it and it ran away or it ducked behind a tree or whatever. So that's why these kinds of stories are really interesting, and I want to know more about the ones that are not so benign. Jason, you got any interesting examples? Just give us a taste, because I want people to wet their whistle and then go get the book and read the whole story.
Okay, just a little one. I'll get into the more physical ones after this story.
Sure.
But,
okay. All right.
This one kind of creeps me out. There's a type of shadow person that has glowing red eyes.
Oh yes, I've seen drawings of that on Heidi Hollis' site.
Yeah.
Right. I'm just glad that. I've only seen drawings also. These have always, these seem to always, of course, elicit a lot of fear in people. People are terrified when they see something like this. A woman was 8 months pregnant and got up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom, as pregnant women do a number of times. And she walked down, didn't turn the lights on, walked down the hallway. She lived in a house that was well over 100 years old, second floor, walked down the hallway, went in the bathroom, and as she was sitting in there, the door was open, and her view was just right down the hallway. And she saw two red lights that looked like Christmas tree lights, except they were about the height of a dog, a big dog, but she felt dog. And she watched in terror as she was sitting there helpless as this thing came closer and closer and closer. And finally she screamed, and her husband got up and turned off the light just as the thing was close to the door. The lights grew as they came closer. And she's positive that this was a red-eyed shadow animal that was stalking her as she was sitting on the toilet.
Oh, my God. And it was an animal, you said?
Yes. There are a number of cases of shadow animals.
Yeah, I've heard of shadow animals, but so this was a combination red-eyed plus the animal, and evidently it didn't have any, come up and lick you on the hand kind of intention.
Well, no, I mean, it would have come up and she might not have had her hand after
right,
that.
Exactly, which is,
exactly.
Not such a good outcome. I'm glad she was able to, scream and get some help there.
Yeah.
Wonder what you would do if it happened to you. Would it
crap my pants like I always.
Well, yeah, she was in the right position for it.
Yeah,
She
well,
was on
that's
the toilet.
true. That's true.
Yeah, well, at least it was convenient. What's the thing?
Was it a one-time deal for her, do you think? Or?
Yes, that's the only time she ever saw it. And that's in a lot of cases that's it. Just one time. People see it one time, boom, they're done. Other cases like mine I saw for, almost a year. I haven't seen them since, fortunately. And there are people who see them, they're convinced it's the same one over and over and over again over decades.
I wonder why. Yeah, well, I wonder why.
That's the thing, Jason. There's more questions than answers.
Well,
right now.
and in my book, I tried to answer a lot of questions, and what I came up with are theories for what these things are. I can't give you a definitive answer, but I can give you a lot of points as to what these things may be. I interviewed a lot of experts in a lot of different fields. Not just metaphysical, not just religious, but I mentioned the physicists earlier. I talked to them. I talked to biochemists. I talked with psychologists, trying to get every possible angle I could with every expert I could. So there are a whole lot of explanations as to what these things are.
Mm-hmm. Well, what we were saying before, though, I'm wondering why some people would only have a one-time experience as opposed to other people having multiple experiences, though, too.
It depends on the type of entity. With this woman, I spoke with an archbishop who's an exorcist, a Catholic archbishop, and he said anytime one of these creatures has red eyes or is an animal, it's definitely demonic. And this had both, red eyes and an animal. He also said that one of the characteristics that I described of shadow people is a demonic entity, that it's human-shaped, but not exactly. Something's different. Something's wrong. He said this to him spells out demonic because they can't take the form of something that was physically created by God. So,
okay.
Right. So, that type of explanation is he's pretty solid on that.
Okay. So, again, like we just said, there's more questions than answers. That's okay though, because go ahead, Doug.
The experiencers that you talked to, did they all seem fairly credible to you? What percentage do you think of reports or blog posts or however people talk about this thing, and let people know that they've seen one? What percentage do you think is due to maybe a wild night out? Or a scary movie that they just saw at the, Drag Me to Hell is playing right now. Or other influences. Maybe they were driving late night, heard, Coast to Coast AM or whatever, and that's in the back of their, it's not functionally in the back of their mind, but it's in their subconscious enough to where they get a little tipsy or a little tired from work and they're driving home late at night and they, what percentage do you think might be real and what might be not hallucination is the wrong thing, because I think the people who report it probably really believe that they saw one.
Yeah.
Right.
What might be external factors and maybe not exactly like a sighting of a real dark shadow figure entity.
Okay, rule number one with me: don't ever ask me to do math. I got percentage, but I will tell you that a lot of cases absolutely are misidentification, and I address this in the book. If people are someplace that they're not necessarily familiar with, and the lights are off, they're going to mistake a coat rack, with a coat and a hat on it, for a shadow person or a ghost or a serial killer. They're going to misidentify that. So that is, that's going to be a number of quite a few cases. Sleep paralysis is another huge one. Mm-hmm. When you're asleep, your body's, your head's pumping your body full of chemicals, and sometimes you wake up prematurely. And in that state, one of the chemicals that's in your head paralyzes you. That's to keep you from continuously thrashing around. Your muscles moving when you're sleeping, but your mind is awake, and so you're paralyzed. And you, in that state, with all the other fun stuff running around in your head, you can see things that really aren't there.
Right.
You might see your grandma. You might, see shadow people. You might see, we mentioned clowns before. Let's pick on them some more.
Okay.
You might see all this stuff. So it could be a number of things other than actually seeing an entity that is a shadow person. But out of the people I spoke with, they're all sure that what they saw were shadow people, and I'm convinced of that.
Well, okay, now I think we've kind of danced around this issue a little bit. We may have touched on it a little bit also, but I think, well, I want to hear it from you though too, Jason. Do you think these shadow people pose any kind of real danger to us? I guess we could say mentally or more namely physically. Do you think they pose a threat or are dangerous in either of those categories?
Yes, absolutely. Let me give you a couple of examples. One, the threat part. I have a story in my book about a woman who was sitting watching TV during the day, and whenever it would cut to commercial, the screen would fade to black before the commercial would pop up, and she would see this human-shaped shadow in the TV. And it really creeped her out. So she eventually turned the TV off and just stared at the screen, and she noticed it was a reflection from outside. And she went and looked outside. Looked out her window, and she saw a shadow person standing next to a telephone pole. And she said the way it was standing, it looked like it was staring at the house across the street. Eventually, she gave up looking at it and went and did something else. But the next day, there was an ambulance in front of the house, and the woman who lived in the house across the street was dead.
Whoa!
There are a number of cases like that. So, I mean, did this thing, was this creature that didn't know she was going to die and was just, hanging out waiting for it to happen? Did it cause the death? I mean, who knows? But there are a number of cases exactly like hers. And one of the interesting things about that is she saw it during the day. You might mistake the hat rack at night, but you're not going to do it in full daylight.
Well, and now you said that they didn't really know. Were you able to get any details about, as far as that case is concerned? Were you able to get any details? I mean, of this death. I mean, did they tell you anything about that?
Well, it was older woman ruled natural causes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it could have been, I'm just throwing this out there, but it could have been a situation.
Well, heck, if it entered her home, she could have just
Well, I'm saying she could have just keeled over right there. I mean, Christ, I'm probably 40 years younger than that lady was, and I would have probably done the same thing.
Well, I know I'd have had a palpitation or something.
Yeah.
Right, or it could have known she was going to die and was just hanging around waiting for her to die to escort her spirit off to wherever.
So
or
maybe
to eat her soul.
So maybe they do have like a death banshee kind of purpose, or some of them do. I mean, who knows? I mean, there's no actual there's an actual book you can, other than Darkness Walks, there's no book you can go and consult and say, okay, so what was this guy doing? What's he doing here? But the fact is, did the police come around in this case and say, have you noticed? Well, no, not if it was natural causes. They would have they would not have interviewed the neighbors, but that would have looked really funny if they'd come up and said, did you notice anything weird in the neighborhood? Yeah, there was a shadow figure standing next to the pole.
Yeah, what do you tell the cops? I saw this paranormal entity staring at the house right before she died.
Yeah, at some point I'd be like, no, everything was fine.
Well, we've talked a lot about as far as we've talked a lot about the religious side of this thing, though. I mean, and I don't think maybe we could talk more about this now, but from a hard scientific viewpoint, though, and I think we talked about a physicist earlier,
right? And biochemists, and
But still, on the hard scientific point of this, I mean, as far as what a shadow person may be, do you have any? From the research you did, Jason, is there any conclusions that you were able to come up with these things? I mean, from a zeros and ones point of view.
Yes and no. One of the things the physicist I interviewed said was these things can't exist just because they're viewing it from a physical standpoint and describing a number of the cases involving shadow people. what they do when they disappear. You know, some of them just fade off. You know, like a ghost might dissipate. So, and some walk through walls. Mm-hmm. Some can physically strike something. And given the description, the you know, you can't see through them. You know, they went through is it a gas? Is it a solid? Is it a liquid? Well, if it behaves this way, it can't be one or it can't be the other. So from a physical standpoint, no, these things can't be doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
One of the really solid pieces of evidence from a biochemistry experiment on epilepsy a number of years ago. I don't remember his name. His first name was Olof. He's a Swedish biochemist. Anyway, he was trying to work on epilepsy, and his 22-year-old female subject, he pumped into her head electricity into certain spots. And he found out that when he did this, she saw a shadow person standing behind her, you know, out of the corner of her eye. When he increased the voltage, it was standing next to her, and she was really getting agitated. When he increased the voltage, it sat next to her and was trying to, you know, take things out of her hand. She was holding a notebook, and he was trying to take it out of her hand. And she was describing all this, and, of course, nobody around could see it. Now, the question is, did the electricity cause her to see the shadow person, you know, that wasn't there, or did it cause her to see the shadow person that actually was there?
So did it make her hallucinate this thing, or did it cause her to be able to see?
Yeah, I mean,
exactly. That's what I tried to say.
like did it drop a filter or something?
Yeah.
That your subconscious normally filters out literally, you know, millions and millions, if not billions of informations a day, and doesn't bother your conscious mind with it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, the author, Douglas Adams, who wrote The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, referred to this as the somebody else's problem phenomenon. Yeah,
yeah.
If you see something, it's your problem. If you don't see it, it's somebody else's. That's why he said, he speculated that flying saucers land all the time, but people don't see them because they don't want to.
Right.
Yeah, because they'll have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Well, no, and that's interesting, though. I mean, as far as if you're in a lab situation like that, to have someone describe that, as far as, you know, one shock after another.
It's like, don't you see it?
Well,
no.
Well, and I mean, again, it could be one or the other. I mean, it could be breaking down the filters, like we said, or it could be a natural hallucination as a result of, you know, introducing something else into the brain.
Well, see, that's another thing with the infrasound that they're doing with ghost hunting.
Yeah.
You know, they're saying, oh, yeah, we subjected these people to infrasound, and they felt there were ghosts crawling all over the room.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there weren't.
Yeah, maybe they weren't.
Exactly. Yeah. How do you know?
Yeah. Let's you know, we got a few minutes here, unfortunately, Jason. But I have to ask. You know, this is something I do want to ask you. You know, and I mean, this could be for me, it could be for Doug, it could be for one of us here, or anybody here listening to the show. You know, what if I was to encounter a shadow person, what do you think you should do if you encounter one of these things? Jason? Did we lose Jason? Jason? Jason!
Hear me?
Yeah, there you are.
That's better.
You there, dude?
Oh, hello. Can you hear me?
We can hear you now.
We can hear you now.
Okay, terrific.
Is the storm in full swing down there now?
Yeah, it's pretty nasty. I'm expecting my basement to leak, so that's great.
Well,
what do you do if you encounter a shadow person?
Yeah,
question,
yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Hey, my answer was first, wet your pants. 2, run.
Yes, I like both.
3, actually, those are both silly except for the running. A number of people that I spoke with, and I've got a chapter on this, is what do you do if you encounter one? And a lot of people found that if you pray, or if you sing, or if you laugh, or if you make any kind of noise other than a shriek of terror, that these things will go away. If you tell them to, hey, just leave me alone right now, okay, don't bug me, that they'll go. What is it? Is it sounds? One woman played music and she was seeing shadow people, so she turned the radio on. They left and never came back because she kept playing the radio every night.
Mm-hmm.
Is it noise? If I encounter any more, I'm gonna pray, because you might as well use the big guns while you're at it.
Well,
but that's the only explanation that seems to work over a bunch of different explanations is sound.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's happy sound. If these things are trying to scare you and feed off your fear, and you're not afraid of them, the bully's going to leave.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if Sabbath would work for that.
or
Black Sabbath, they'd be like, oh, dude, I love that album.
Or if you break into,
I don't know, Iron Maiden might pull in more, I don't know.
Or if you break into that Freddy Krueger thing, the 1, 2, Freddy's coming to you.
Oh, God.
3, 4, better lock the door.
Well,
yeah, that might not be beneficial.
Yeah, well, in all seriousness, I mean, it does sound like they're, that, and I've heard this from countless people, not just this discussion. I've heard people say the same thing, where if you're afraid, that's that you won't be left alone when it comes to one of these things, or you will not. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. I've never really had. I mean, I've had my couple of things that happened when I was a kid, but I mean, and I know I just in situations, maybe not even related to shadow people, where I've been scared, mentally scared. In a situation, maybe it was ghost hunting, maybe it wasn't.
And it's very difficult to get out of that mindset, though. So maybe that's why they're talking about, Jason. Maybe that's why they're talking about, praying or singing or something, because that will help get you out of the oh my gosh, I'm really terrified mindset, probably faster than just time.
Well, what I've always done, and this is going to be funny, everybody's going to laugh when they hear this, when I've been in situations like that, and whether it's shadow people or not. Because I think like anybody out there, we've all been scared before.
Yeah.
If you're in a dark place, or it may not even be related to ghost hunting or anything like that. I always tell myself, like, there's no one badder than you, Scott. You know that. There's no one badder on this planet. You are the baddest MF on this planet.
You're getting a new T-shirt.
Baddest. But it centers me though. Honestly, it'll center me and go, okay, look, you know what? I can take care of this. I can handle this. I'm not afraid. I mean, it's a funny thing. It's kind of goofy, but for me, it says, okay, you know what? You can handle this. You're a tough person. You can handle this, right?
Mm-hmm. That only really works for Chuck Norris.
Maybe you're right. I mean, nothing's really attacked me yet, so I don't know.
Yeah. Well, one of the rules of thumb that I have is because I've had this happen to me. I've gone places to where I've just felt uncomfortable as hell, and I felt like. Maybe I didn't know if there was something else there, but there might have been. I just felt claustrophobic even outside, and I just needed to leave. Just leave.
Yeah, that too. I mean, that's
just leave.
Mm-hmm.
If you go back later, you might be fine.
Well,
I mean, that's happened. I've gone to a lot of haunted places in researching stories that I've written, and if I feel like the room is heavy, or the cemetery there's no wind blowing or animals making noise or crickets or it just feels dead. I leave and come back at a different time, and everything's going to be fine. It'll probably be fine.
And that does happen. I really believe that, because I've done similar things. I'm like, oh, it's way too much in here. I'll be back
leaving.
in a bit.
I'm leaving.
It's just like storming out the room after or during a conversation or an argument.
Oh, yeah.
It's like,
tension. I'm out of here.
Well, there's tension, there's like all this, and then you just have to remove yourself from the situation. You go back later, and it's a little bit, it'll be better.
Darkness Walks, The Shadow People Among Us is the name of the book, and we're totally out of time. This sucks, because I'm having a ball talking about this. Where can the book be found, Jason?
Okay, actually, Doug was giving my website. That's jasonoffutt.com. That's for all my humor stuff. You can't find it there.
Oh, sorry.
You can find it at anomalistbooks.com. You can find it at Amazon.com or Barnes & Noble. You can also find it at my blog, From the Shadows. My URL is really annoying. It's from-the-shadows.blogspot.com. Okay, but if you just type Jason Offutt Shadow People in Google, it'll come right up.
Fantastic. Well, I got to say, Jason, I mean, this was really fun getting into this, and really I learned a lot, too, really getting into the Shadow People thing. And I'm glad to know that I'm not the only person that may have experienced one of these. I mean, like I said, at the very beginning of this conversation, I said I never saw one of these things, but after kind of describing the weird things that I have experienced, it may be along the lines that a lot of people have had the same experience as I have. So maybe I have seen Shadow People. Who knows?
Well, definitely get the book and see. I mean,
I'm going to
read other people's experiences
And then you can read about the experience of the woman who, when she was a little girl, a shadow person pulled her into a room as she was walking through her house.
No fun.
Oh my God!
We're out of time. Oh my God!
That is
very
the kind
nice.
of thing that I loved at an interview with. It's like, what the heck happened?
Yeah,
but we are out of time.
Jason, thank you so much for joining us. Don't leave us just yet. Stay on the line, okay? We're just gonna go.
Okay, yeah. Hey, thanks for having me on the show.
No, we'll do it again for sure. Hang tight for 1 second.
Coming up next, of course, Marshall Masters will be talking about. Wow,
we got some.
This is completely.
The last time
different.
Marshall was on the show, it was just one of those shows where I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to doing that again. We're gonna do that here right after this thing. Yeah.
Good idea.
Thank you.
Go.
For more info, visit ghostlytalk.com.